So to start, can you tell me a little bit about the starting point for here? What inspired this movie?
Sorry. Go ahead, Andrew.
I think this movie originated with the character, really. We love movies about outsider characters. We love comedies about characters that are extremely passionate, but maybe have a tough time getting by in the world or figuring out social rules. And we always want to do a movie about a kind of a blustery, passionate, pompous, sort of know-it-all nerd type character. And then I've grown up playing Dungeons & Dragons and other role-playing games like that, so that seemed like a good fit for that character because it's sort of an old-fashioned hobby. It's getting more popular now, but it's definitely, compared to video games, is more
It's not like
old
World
school.
of Warcraft.
Yeah.
It's very old school, so.
But it's something that you could sink a lot of hours into, something that you could take passionately, like as an artist, maybe, kind of like a misunderstood artist type guy who sinks all of his hours into that. So that's really where it came from. So we wanted to make it a character study. So we tried to think of what we could throw at this character that would make him really insecure and sort of overreact in a social realm, because that's the realm that he has trouble with. And that's what we came up with, the idea of kind of like a new school geek, kind of cool hipster nerd type character who loves all the same things he does, but is just kind of better at them and effortlessly, and didn't have to pay any of the social prices that he has for liking these things. And that's where the idea came from.
So what was it like once you had a completed script? I mean, I don't know what resources you have, how you went about financing or anything like this, but how do you reach the point that you have a green light? Because it's one thing to say, I have a script, I'm making a movie. It's another thing to really be making the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was hard because, you know, we had the script. It took Andrew about a year to write it. And, you know, and the people would read it and they go, ooh, this character is pretty unlikable, you know. And we're like, okay, well, we have to do, you know, something to show people a little bit about what we're doing to raise money. And so we had an Indiegogo campaign. And what we did was we shot, you know, for 4 days with Sam, who we just cast for this particular teaser. And but we're like, you don't have the part, so but you know, we'll give you $100. Hang out with us for 4 days. I know that's brutal. Anyway, and we'll shoot this thing and try to raise some money. And we did. We raised like $25,000, and we got some press and some write-ups. It was pretty incredible, and we knew that it was because of Sam, because Sam is just so charismatic, actually.
And we still had to raise more money after the crowdfunding campaign. It took about a year. But having that first bit, you know, like really, actually that first major chunk, really does help you in going to other potential investors and saying, like,
and
look,
the press too helped. It was,
helped.
You know.
So about a year later, we had raised enough money to start shooting.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for people using Kickstarter and Indiegogo and things like that? Because, I mean, it's a great resource, but it's almost becoming kind of overused. I mean, I went to film school and I did it 3 times and I wouldn't dare ever do it again. So, like, how do people make it stand out?
I mean, it's hard. We did this in 2011 and it stood out. And now, you know, every month it's getting harder to do.
Remember the summer after we did it, we were like, thank God we did it when we did, because now it seems like everybody's got one. But people are still doing it, and they're still reaching their goals. So I think what helped us is having a video, you know, a piece of content, short and fun, that other websites would be willing to post, to embed. You know, because a lot of people, and this is what they actually recommend you do, is just sit and talk to the camera and say, hi, my name is da-da-da, and talk for a long time. And that's that's like the standard way you're supposed to do it. But like a website like Wired, which, you know, posted our video, they're not going to embed that in an article or something. But
unless you're Spike Lee.
Unless you're Spike Lee. But if you have like a really short, kind of fun to watch video that is almost entertaining to watch on its own, then that can spread. Now, that doesn't work for everybody, but it worked for us.
And, you know, it's just hard. I mean, you know, raising money for films is so hard, and any art, basically. And so it's like, you know, I would love to say that we wouldn't do it again, because it's hard, and you put yourself out there, and it's just kind of hard work to kind of keep the campaign going and ask your friends for money. But if you want to do it, I mean, you know, there is a reason why Spike Lee is doing it. I mean, I think if he could just find the money privately, he would, you know. So, So there's that, I guess that's the conundrum of it all.
That really speaks to like the promising nature of your material too, because if people are seeing that versus a video of you begging for money, it means you have something that people are into. But I also find that kind of funny here because people are very into it, but then there's people who are not. So how do you approach, appealing to the people who know what a game master is versus someone who has never seen one of those games in their lives?
And you mean just like in terms of crowdfunding or just in general making the movie?
Oh, I mean a little of both, because you have to do it on that end and you have to do it when you bring your feature to theaters.
Well, it seems harder on this end. With, like early on when it was a smaller project that no one had heard of, it's kind of, people were intrigued by it. And, obviously we got a little bit of press, which was helpful. But like now it's a harder because it's like, it is a niche story and can be for a niche audience. But the movie was definitely made with the intention for a general audience. There's, universal themes in the film that people can get and understand. So.
Yeah, we really just focused on the emotional journey of the main character rather than making it like just a string of geek references. We tried to actually make sure that if those came up, that they were short and that if you didn't get it, you at least got what it was supposed to be doing in that part of the story. Katie and I worked on a documentary a few years ago called Best Worst Movie, which is about a terrible movie called Troll 2. And we learned, and that was directed by Michael Paul Stevenson, and in working, the three of us on that, we really learned this lesson that you have to make this movie as if the audience knows nothing about what you're making it about. Because we wanted Troll 2 fans to enjoy it, but we wanted people who had never seen Troll 2 to still be able to follow the story of this dentist from Alabama who has this kind of strange couple of years of his life. And hopefully that's what we did with Zero Charisma too.
I watched Best Worst Movie before Troll 2 and enjoyed them both in that order.
Cool.
It's funny because people say, oh, you have to see Troll 2 first. And I'm like, not necessarily.
It's not true.
Yeah.
So how familiar are you with this whole realm here? Did you know what you were doing when you got into it, or did you have to study up on terminology or like techniques?
Well, no, I wasn't into D&D per se. I mean, I knew all about D&D. I didn't know like the nitty-gritty details, but I mean, all the details are in the script. This guy right here, he's the D&D nerd. He's the one who made sure we were all kept in line, making sure we weren't flubbing anything. But I mean, we got away with some stuff. I mean, like in the movie, everything has to be shorter than what it would normally be, and it's Scott's own game, so it didn't have to be exactly like D&D. But I did study up on the game book and stuff like that, and tried to get it down as best as we could. We did lots of rehearsals for the game scenes to make sure we all understood how to go through the game and stuff. So yeah, that worked out.
What about the fact that he really is a very unlikable guy? Is that hard for you to portray and not kind of want to change him a little to put him in a better light?
No, I like characters that are like unlikable. Those are some of my favorite characters in movies that are unlikable. But I think it was important, if you're going to watch a character like that for 2 hours, if they're the lead, that you have to have some empathy, or sort of, he has to be interesting to watch at least. And that was all in the script. I mean, and it was hard, like he's just so intense and he's just so in your face and unlikable. But it was important that we all thought it was important, keep it as realistic as possible. And if you're going to show him being the asshole, maybe show his moments of vulnerability as well. So
that's
important.
Sam being who he is why we went with him. We knew that he could pull that off.
Yeah, those parts came easily, but the parts where Scott is very in your face did not. I had to sort of make myself believe that I could do that.
What was the transition like from the Indiegogo campaign trailer video to that? Like when did you know that you wanted him to play the role in the full feature?
It was basically right after we did that campaign and raised the money. We were like, well, we really felt like it was because of him.
It was when we didn't hear back from Jonah Hill.
Well, that too.
Like, I guess Sam can do it.
Ethan Suplee was also looking at it.
Picturing that right now is kind of blowing my mind.
No, it was pretty soon afterwards because we had such a successful crowdfunding campaign, and we're like, this is a big reason why.
Yeah.
Because he's just has presence. That kind of like movie presence.
He does.
I guess so.
Yeah, whatever.
Can you tell me about the environment on set? I mean, low budget feature, what kind of resources did you have? Where did you put your money so it'd be seen the best on screen? What were the priorities?
It definitely was a micro budget film, and you really rely on teaming up with the right people, people who want a film to look as good as it can and sound as good as it can, but know how to not run out of money in the first week. Our producers, Thomas Fernandez, who's actually my cousin, who moved to Austin with us for the purpose of making independent films, and Ezra Venitos, who is we didn't know before the Indiegogo campaign either. He was a local Austin producer who had worked on a lot of films in Austin. He knew a lot of people, and he was really good at making a little bit of money go a long way. And both of those producers and Katie and myself, that was just, we were always looking at like, how can we get stuff for free? And if you feel bad because you don't want, obviously it's hard to ask for favors a lot. But luckily Austin is a great town for that. People are very supportive of the film community. Other filmmakers, we had people, people didn't work for free necessarily, but they worked for very little. And we also got a lot of great locations. The game store in the movie is a place called Great Hall Games in Austin. We went to a lot of game stores and we saw this one. We're like, this is perfect. It has just the right mom and pop kind of feel to it, but it still feels really full and bright and fun. And it's also doesn't have a lot of copyrighted material. There's no like statue of Spider-Man standing in the front door. And we asked them like, can we, like what are we looking at? How expensive would it be to shoot here? And they're just like, oh, you can shoot here. Yeah. And so we got to shoot there for 2 days. We gave them a little bit of money, but nothing like it would be to shoot here in New York or in LA. Yeah. That would have bankrupted us.
Yeah.
And so stuff like that, makes it possible. I'd say
just a lot of favors and a lot of just kind of like getting like our DP Eliane Fenton. She had just graduated from AFI. And she had not done a feature before, and it was like, okay, that's who we need. You know what I mean? Someone who's done a bunch of shorts, who's studied cinematography, but hasn't really cut her teeth on a feature. Like kind of being smart with the decisions and hiring. Yeah. I mean, she gave us like a month of prep before the film. So
I will say one place that a lot of features of our budget will skimp on is art direction. They'll go, we'll just shoot at our friend's house and just leave the house the way it is. Or we'll just use white walls because we can't afford to, get licensing for all these materials. And we really did not want it to look that way. This is a movie about people who are really into pop culture and art and, fantasy and all these things. And it just wouldn't make sense for Scott's room to be bare white walls. We wanted to be full, but at the same time we couldn't have Batman and Superman on these walls so that was a month of finding people who would give us permission to use their artwork for nothing, or maybe a little bit. And that's, Katie was on the phone, with people for a
and wardrobe too.
Wardrobe,
clothing,
a lot of great T-shirt.
You can get a lot
of
free stuff. People like companies and individual artists want to give their stuff and want to be.
What's the most unique free thing you managed to track down?
I'd say Reaper, right?
Reaper, Reaper Miniatures, which is in Dallas, actually.
They make all the little pewter figurines, and they're a worldwide company. I mean, they're like one of the biggest, but they happen to be based in Texas.
Yeah, and Great Hall Games put us in touch with them, and we contacted them, and they just sent us probably, $1,000 plus worth of stuff to use in the film.
Really
we
nice.
said we want this and this, and then they
The guy actually
extra.
said he actually said go on the website, pick the ones you want, and we'll paint them.
Yeah,
and ship them to you.
Oh, and they were amazing, and they had
painted.
like grass on the, it was like little blades of grass, like
Yeah.
Did you get to keep those?
Yeah,
I would hope so.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Some of them got broken during filming.
From this rage ball.
What kind of camera did you guys shoot on?
It was the Red Epic. No.
Why'd you go with that one?
It's really a choice the DP made with us. I mean, you know, as a good DP should, she's going to push for the best equipment she can get, and it was a matter of.
And we'd shoot in 4K and 5K, kind of switch back and forth.
We never shot 5K.
Sometimes. There's some shots. Yeah.
But
Not many.
and she
like 2.
She worked a lot with Ezra, trying to figure out, because it's like, you know, you can't just rent it at market price. We could not afford that. So it's about going to people that you know and companies that you know and saying, is it going to be free this month? Can we get a deal on it? So, you know, if we had not been able to get a deal on that, it would have been a cheaper camera. And just as luck would have it, we were able to get a good deal. And yeah.
Was there a lot of lighting involved, or mostly practicals?
A lot of lighting.
Yes.
A lot of lighting.
Yes.
Ellie was great with lighting, and she loved it.
Yeah, I mean, and that was a big deal. You know, we wanted that game table, Scott's game table, to feel very, you know, just intimate,
moody,
and like comfortable.
We told her we wanted like. There's the scene in E.T. when the guys are playing Dungeons and Dragons around the table, and we're like, we want it to look like this, you know, because if you're going to spend that much time around this table, it's got to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
It can't feel stark and white and ugly and, you know, bare. It's got to feel like lived in, warm.
Campfire.
This is his like, campfire, exactly. Like people sitting around the campfire. This is his like safe refuge, so it's got to be a comfortable place.
And this is kind of random, but how'd you go about getting food? Because, like, people underestimate the importance of food on a set like this. If you're paying people for less than they normally make, they want good meals.
Yeah.
Well, Ezra, our producer, again, he started as like a grip, and he's, you know, producing films in Austin now, so he definitely was on the crew, you know, knew what a crew.
He knew food he knows food's important.
He definitely told us that. Right? He was like, if you're gonna pay people less, you know, they don't mind it, but the meals are everything.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be right on time, and if you go over, it's got to be another meal.
Yeah.
That's where people get grumpy, and you know. Mm-hmm. So food was.
So he was getting deals. I don't know exactly, but
he and Thomas and our co-producer Zach Carlson worked together and we mixed it up. We had, you know, we probably only used one place twice. You know, everything else was like a different, and there's a lot of cool caterers in Austin.
Yeah.
How big was your company?
It was like 23, 24.
Still a lot of people to have to hunt down meals every single day versus getting a caterer.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
And is there anything here, like, clearly you have a lot to be proud of. It's a great movie. It's coming out. People are going to get to see it. But is there any, like, one thing that might kind of get swallowed up in the experience, whether it's, like, a tiny little prop somewhere that was really tough to track down, or like, maybe even a certain facial expression that you achieved, or a line you nailed, something like that?
That's in the movie, but maybe people won't notice. You can call out. There are scenes we cut out. That'll be on the DVD. We'll have some deleted scenes in the DVD. There was an actor who actually portrays like an imaginary friend that Scott has, like a fantasy character who comes to him. It's not exactly like a dream sequence, but it's something similar to that.
I feel like there's a web series in there or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a great scene, but at the end of the day, we decided not to have any fantasy in the film because it's just been done so much, and it was just tonally it was strange and made him look like too crazy or something.
Yeah.
So we did that, but it was a great scene, and we're going to put that on the DVD.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see any of the extra takes, so
You haven't? Oh yeah.
maybe I did have better performances, and I just didn't go with them.
Did you ever see the Ulrich scene?
I didn't actually.
You haven't seen
wow.
it? Wow. Okay. He hasn't even seen that scene. He was great in that scene.
Yeah. Yeah, you were.
Didn't matter.
Yeah.
Oh well. DVD extra.
Yeah.
How are you guys enjoying Comic-Con? You seen anything kind of crazy here?
Yeah, it's been great. All of it is crazy. That's the thing. I mean, there's so many people. I can't believe it.
Yeah, and apparently tomorrow, Saturday, is like even crazier.
Yeah, I can't fathom that.
I'm going to stay in this room for a while.
Yeah, this
nice
room's great.
and quiet.
If you had to get on that floor right now, dressed up as anything you wanted, what would it be?
I'm going to be Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z for Halloween. I couldn't get the costume together for New York Comic Con, but yeah.
Dang it! It's funny because I thought of something earlier, and I was like, oh, that's what I
like my favorite costume I've seen is a Barf from Spaceballs.
Oh yeah, John Candy's character from Spaceballs.
I'm like, yeah. That was good.
I don't know. I guess it'd be something from a video game, maybe. I like video games
What
a
did
lot.
you say? The guy from GTA.
Trevor from GTA 5.
From GTA 5.
Kind of got the hair for it, so maybe that.
Oh god, I don't know what I would be. I don't know. Barf from Spaceballs.
Okay.